Letters from the Pale Court, Part 3. The Mourning Crown. Snow still blanketed the pale court, though now it no longer melted. It lay eternal, untouched, like a death shroud grown fond of its host. From the outside, the estate appeared abandoned, a relic of a dead dynasty, yet within, time stirred differently. The halls had grown long again, doors returned that hadn't existed in generations. The portraits swept when no one looked, and in the deepest chamber, beneath candlelight that never flickered, the pale court held session once more. They bowed low to Sebastian, and Ilara, not out of loyalty, but out of fear, an ancient pact. Sebastio sat on the throne carved from petrified bone and rosewood. Not the chimes from the crypt, but a sound deeper, older. The ones even the court had buried in storied sisters who had not merely fled heaven, but declared war upon it. Ilara's resurrection was not resurrection at all but unlocking. A key turned in a lock, long rusted shut. They had carved the pale court into the mountain not as sanctuary, but as throne room of exile. And beneath the sanctum, deeper still, they had made the vault, as if the world itself had a wound that rang out in pain. If you wear it, you may walk among them, unseen. Ilara heard it first, standing at the high window as the sky bled into hues unnatural. "They are waking," she whispered. Statues flanked the descent figures of monarchs, long erased, wearing masks of ivory and claws instead of crowns. The stairs ended at a black stone door. The door groaned, and the world behind it exhaled, not of stone, but of flesh, petrified into sleep. They pulsed with faint breath. 13 in all. The forgotten were first, etched with 9 concentric circles in a phrase. We who dared to dream beyond the divine, the flame, the scream, the pact torn. You rekindled the bond. Then another. The villagers, those few who still dared live. Near the forest, it spoke of lights in the windows, shapes watching from towers, thought collapsed by, of letters appearing on doorsteps, addressed in perfect script, signed by names long buried. Parchment moved when read, shifting words in response to thought. The reader went mad, then brilliant, then vanished. The letters they wrote did not travel by post, but by dream, by nightmare, by the space between heartbeat and breath. The vault trembled as the first ones emerged. The priest who opened it wept until his eyes dried to husks. He walked into the woods and was not seen again, not walking, but gliding, their robes trailing echoes, their words forming thoughts. Directly in his skull, the forgotten beneath the mountain still denies our truth. Some wandered, others served, a few ascended. Bitch skin shimmered like candle wax, melting in reverse, reforming with each twitch. You have summoned us, heir of the broken vow, it said, wearing the mourning crown, an obsidian circlet etched with names not found in any history. Piss eyes, once pale green, now mirrored the candle flames with a reddish hue, like embers that refused to die. Beside him, Elara stood veiled in crimson, her form shifting between flesh and shadow, reality and dream. B ruled over silence, memory, and the dead. Each evening, the court convened ghosts, dressed in decaying regalia, whispering in tongues no longer spoken. Bare hands, too many, for one body touched his shoulders, his temples, his chest. Prevail dissolved, and with it the last thread of his mortality. But even in dominion, something called from beyond, began with the bells again. Sebastian knew the name. For years, centuries perhaps, the seal had held. Bar, the bond of letters, once restored, had stirred the buried power. "I must go down," Sebastian said, rising from the throne. Elara turned to him, her veil fluttering in wind that did not exist. "Then you do not return." His voice was quiet. "Bye." Never truly came back. She offered him the veil. He descended alone. The lower vaults of the pale court had no torches. The walls pulsed faintly with a dim inner light, like the ribs of some buried god. Sebastian placed his blood-stained ring into the center circle. Bosh! The vault stretched endlessly, columns rising into void, ossuaries carved with scripture in no human hand. There, he found the one opened, the thing that emerged wore a form like a man, but it had no eyes, only the memory of sight. Sebastian did not speak. He knelt. "We remember, Elara." Another sarcophagus opened. "You wear the mourning crown, but do not yet bear the mourning burden," they said. "The world above still forgets." Sebastian stood veil over his eyes and replied, "Then let it remember." The first ones surrounded him. P returned. One letter arrived in the rectory, sealed in violet wax. Another letter found its way into the archives of the University of Olmart. The pale court no longer slept. It remembered. It called. Sebastian and Elara ruled, not as man and woman, but as memory and prophecy. They were not bound by time, now, only by ink and blood. Their court grew, and so the world changed, not with armies or fire, but with parchment and whispers. 4. Somewhere in a forgotten library, in a home no longer lived in a drawer, sealed for generation, there lies a letter. Your name is on it. It waits to be read.